Now, the other day I made a video about my pick for the best Bristol City starting 11, but I'll admit that video was a little bit one-dimensional. It didn't factor in 46 games in a season, the fact that you'd probably need to change formation against different opponents, etc. So in this video, I'm going to explore that concept a little bit further. So just a reminder of the team that I picked on that video. I went for a 4-3-1-2. I went for O'Leary, McCrory, McNally, Dickey, Pring, Knight, Randall, Bird, Stokes, in behind Reese and Armstrong, right? And I did that because, well, this is an extract from ChatGPT, but it's based on actual evidence, right? Struber's most used or most preferred formation throughout his career is a 4-3-1-2. And I thought with that video, I should consider how the manager wants to set up, right, and the personnel we have available. So I went for that 4-3-1-2, but you can see here there's a couple of other formations that he has deployed. A 4-4-2, where he used that at Wolfsberger and Barnsley, and also a 3-4-1-2 sort of 3-5-2 system as well. So he's not just rigid in that 4-3-1-2, which I think opens up a couple possibilities to build a team with different formations. And with that in mind, I thought I'd look at another team. So this is a similar sort of concept to what we looked at before in terms of a 4-3-1-2, but this is more of a 4-4-2 diamond with, I think, I put Jason Knight here because I just don't think there's a way that he doesn't get into the team, providing, of course, we keep hold of him. And then I've used Mark Sykes on the right-hand side of that midfield three. I think that works. I think that would work quite well. Randall is the holder. You know, I don't know if Knight would be better placed there, Randall on the left, or Knight would play the holder and maybe Max Bird, something like that on the left, potentially. But I think this team, the one sort of drawback, I suppose, to the team that I looked at previously, we've got other wingers in the team, Mehmeti, for example, Yu Hirakawa, for example, as well, there are others. But I just think that Mark Sykes, not having him in the 11 makes us weaker. And you know, the system that Struber likes to play doesn't really favour out-and-out wingers. And I just think that Mark Sykes is one of our best outfield players. And we really saw the difference it makes when we don't have Mark Sykes during, well, the playoff games that we had against Sheffield United. We looked pretty, you know, in some ways toothless going forwards without him. So yeah, I think that this is a possible team, right? And I've done a little bit of thinking on the number 10 in the striker spot as well. I would like to see Stokes play, but I have a feeling that Twine's experience will probably at least initially be a little bit more valuable than Stokes. But I do think Stokes will get some decent minutes and a chance to really show himself. And then I also think up front, you got three strikers alongside Reese that can play at the moment, right? Unless we sign someone, I'm kind of hopeful that we do, and we'll talk about that in a second. We've got Sinclair Armstrong, Fally Mayulu, and Sam Bell, right? And you think, out of those three, I put Sinclair Armstrong in the last one, right? But out of those three, who is Gerhard Struber realistically going to pick? And who is probably best placed to play sort of a pressing forward position out of those three players? And I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but ultimately, I think all Bristol City fans could probably have an opinion that all of those three outside of Reece shouldn't be starting for Bristol City. So I don't think there's a completely right answer. But I do think, the more I think about it, the more I think Sam Bell's suited to play that pressing forward spot. So I pick him as well. So a little variation on the last team I showed in order to get Mark Sykes in. Little change, I think, on the number 10 spot and possibly getting Sam Bell in as well. And then we also saw that he can play a 3 at the back formation or a 5 at the back formation as well. So I think our best back three, if I'm honest. You've also got, obviously, Pring and Tanner, I think, that can do respectable jobs in those back three spots. But I think Viner, his best position is that sort of right of a 3 centre-backs, in my opinion. So I play him there. Dickey in the middle, McNally on the left. I put Pring at left wing-back. I do feel a little bit cruel not playing Ross McCrory. But at the same time, I just think Mark Sykes is probably better for that right wing-back position. So I'd look to play Mark Sykes in that right wing-back spot. Randall and Knight is the midfield too. I would like to see, I put Randall as like one of my favoured starters, but we've never actually seen him play for Bristol City. So I'm not saying I'm absolutely locked in on that. We've obviously got McGuane, Williams and Max Bird that can play there. I'd be intrigued to see how Max Bird could get on. And then the same three above that, right? Twine at the 10, Reece and Bell up front. I think this formation, it probably suits our squad a little bit better than 4 at the back. And the reason I say that, and I think it's also the reason that Liam Manning moved to a back 3, if you remember rightly, He started, I think, playing a 4-2-3-1 at Bristol City and then eventually moved to a back three. I don't think you can massively trust these centre-backs to play in a two. So I think having that third as cover is really helpful. And the more I think about it, looking at how our season will begin, the more I think this may well be our 11 that plays the first game. We've obviously got, the first start of the season at least. Now, with that in mind, we've obviously got McNally out until December. I'm not forgetting that, by the way. So could possibly be Pring there with someone else at left wing back. But I just think when all of our squad is fit, at least, this is probably our strongest team right now. Although one thing it does lead me to think is we've got to strengthen. We've got to strengthen this forward spot, right? I like Sam Bell, but I think based on what we saw of him last season, if we want to push for the playoffs again, I don't think that's a good enough front two to get to the Championship playoffs. I think Reece could. I don't think Sam Bell, with the ability he showed last season, could. And also, I don't think we have enough on the left-hand side. I know we got Hayden Roberts as well, but I wouldn't really hang my hat on him playing at left wing back. He's more of a cover player than someone that I'd be confident, in starting. So yeah, if we were to play this formation, obviously considering McNally is out until the winter time, you'd probably stick Pring in there at the start of the season, right? And that leaves a little bit of a hole at left wing back. I guess McCrory could play there, I suppose. But even then, he's heavily restricted being a right back and right-footed. That leaves a bit of a gap there. But anyway, I think this is another alternative within sort of Struber's remit as to a team that he could play. Now, this is a system that's not necessarily, it wasn't one that Struber's played before. But if you look at other European managers that like to play pressing football, Ralph Rangnick comes to me as an example, right? I follow Man United quite closely as well. And when he came to Man United, he came with a similar Red Bull philosophy to what Gerhard Struber is going to play, right? Full-on pressing, like gegenpressing football, right? And he plays a 4-2-2-2. So a 4 at the back, flat back 4, 2 holding midfielders, 2 wingers, and then 2 pressing forwards who can do the job of sort of a number 10 in there as well and create chances for the other one, etc. And I think this formation also works for our squad. But again, I'd be a little bit hesitant playing the back 4. But again, I go McCrory, Dickey, McNally, Pring, obviously O'Leary in goal. Randall, Knight in midfield. I'd probably play these two if I could. Obviously, you got Williams there as well. We could play one of those spots, McGuane and Bird. But this would probably be my favoured two for this particular system. Sykes on the right, Mehmeti on the left, who this is the first time I think I've given a shout to Mehmeti actually playing for Bristol City in one of these lineups. I do feel for Anis a little bit. I've seen his pre-season footage. He's been absolutely dominating the fitness tests. But I just look at his playing style and I'm left to wonder how exactly he fits into Struber's system. And this is one way you could play him. And then again, I've gone for Reece and Bell up front. So this could be another potential 11 that we play. Now, Struber, again, similar to the formation I've just showed, isn't known to play a 4-2-3-1. But I think that there is one mismatch between the way that the board wants to, or the leaders at the club want to play football, and the way that Gerhard Struber does things. And it's that Gerhard Struber has not yet played a 4-2-3-1. I don't think he's got much experience playing a 4-2-3-1 with his teams. But when I look at the squad, its structure and the players that are in it, I just think it's designed to play a 4-2-3-1. And if I was picking a Bristol City team with the players we've got, I'd either play the back three that we showed earlier, or I'd probably play a 4-2-3-1. There's a lot of what ifs going in here, but I think this is the system that our squad is built to play for, and we've got multiple players, at least 2 players that can play in each of these positions. So obviously O'Leary, our starting goal, best we got at the moment. McCrory, backed up obviously by Tanner. Dickey, backed up by, Viner. McNally, backed up by Atkinson. Pring, backed up, of course, by Hayden Roberts. Randall and Knight, there's 3 players that can play in these positions. You've got McGuane, Williams, and Max Bird. Sykes and Yu on the right. Twine and Stokes on the left, maybe Bird as well. And then Mehmeti, potentially Sam Bell on the left. And then you got Reece, where you got 3 strikers. So there's 2 players at least for each position in a 4-2-3-1. And I don't know, when I think of how the Bristol City squad's been assembled, in my mind, they've gone with a screen like this and then picked multiple players to play each of these positions. I'm not saying Struber's going to play a 4-2-3-1, but I do think with the structure of players, the positions that they're natural in, this is kind of the way that we're set up to play. but I don't think Struber's system directly aligns to this. Right, finally, a little bit of a bonus team. There's a couple extra signings that I would like to see Bristol City make, right? I know we're not going to do it because I think the Joe Lumley deal and signing tells us all we need, right? I don't think we're going to go for another goalkeeper in the market, but I would have really liked to see us sign another goalkeeper. I would have gone for Mark Travers of Bournemouth. He spent, I think, half the season or the full season on loan at Middlesbrough last year, put up much better save statistics than O'Leary did, and also seems to be pretty good with his feet. I just remember the game he had against us, right? It was fantastic. And he plays for Bournemouth, right? And I think it's about time that we managed to get a player off of Bournemouth. So in my mind, I was always hoping that we could potentially sign someone like Mark Travers this summer. I would still look to improve goalkeeping position. In terms of my back four, I think this is probably where I'd go. Again, I'd be a little bit hesitant as to playing a four with the centre-backs we've got available, but I think probably Dickey and McNally are our two best. Across the midfield, I think I'd play Sykes on the right-hand side of the diamond. I'd probably play Knight as the holder. And then I think Max Bird is a great player, and I'd like to see how he fits into the team. So I'd stick him on the left side of the midfield. My personal opinion, I think Stokes deserves a run. I think Stokes, yeah, I really like him, and he's obviously got bags of potential. And I just don't think Scott Twine, even under Manning, he didn't really produce a whole lot from open play, in my opinion. That's just a small criticism. Small criticism is fair criticism I have of him. But I don't think there'd be too many fans that disagree with that. I'd like to give Stokes a chance. Emil Rees, of course, he's straight in the team. I mean, he's one of the first names on the team sheet with that signing, really. I guess that shows how good of a signing he is, that I'd probably favour him immediately over any of our other forwards. And then, well, a guy who I started or made a video about our potential transfer interest in Tyrese Dolan of Blackburn. I think Tyrese and Emil Rees would make a great partnership up front. Tyrese Dolan, he's played across all of the front line for Blackburn, left wing, right wing, striker, and at number 10. He'd be really good for this system, to be honest. I think, knowing what we know, there was a Turkish club that were in for him. I believe Tyrese was demanding 16k a week, which they couldn't afford. Reports suggest that he is no longer a target of Bristol City, or they're not interested in him. But I do know that a few weeks ago he went for a tour of the training ground and had a pitch and stuff like that. So the club were interested in him at some point. Turkish club out the running. It does look like Rangers of Scotland. Well, obviously Glasgow Rangers are looking for him. Coventry, I think, will be in the mix as well. Whether we sign him or not, I don't know. But I think he'd be a great addition to this team. He'd fit the squad really well. And I think alongside Rees up front, that'd be quite a nice strike partnership. All right, well, there you go. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. It gives you a few more, I think, teams that we could possibly play rather than just being one-dimensional sort of 4-3-1-2 with a little bit of my thoughts and analysis chucked in as well. Let me know in the comments. I don't think I said this in the last one, but let me know in the comments if you have a favourite Bristol City starting 11, you know, what formation they play in, etc. So I'm just trying to center myself in the screen. And yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you very much for watching. You can subscribe if you haven't already to the Robin's Nest YouTube channel, which should be just here on your screen. And yeah, I'll catch you in my next video.